I'm standing here in front of the Rijksmuseum and I'm not here to go inside, but I'm here to stay outside because there's so much to see on the outside of the building, and that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to tell you and show you the outside of the building. Come with me. By the end of the 19th century, the art of the Netherlands was divided over a lot of private collections and a lot of small museums. For example, here in the Royal Palace on Dam Square in the middle of Amsterdam. And here in the Trippenhuis, the mansion called after the two brothers Tripp that lived here in the 17th century. The collections were growing bigger and bigger and they didn't fit in their own buildings anymore. And beside of that, the question to get all the art together and make one nice big national museum was growing. And that was the reason to start the plans for the Rijksmuseum. The building itself should remind us on a wealthy period of time in the 17th century. And beside of that, the building should be a gateway from the old part of town of Amsterdam to the new part of town. And in the beginning, even motorized vehicles could drive underneath here. And to show you which side you have to drive through this tunnel, they made a little sign up there. It's right over there. Sir Kuiper was the lucky architect who got to design the Rijksmuseum. He was a Catholic man, and if you have a good look around the building, then you can actually easily see that he was a Catholic man. And he made a funny detail in the building, and I'm going to show you. Have a look up there. I will zoom in for you. Can you see the sculpture up there? That is a sculpture of Sir Kuiper himself. He still keeps an eye on us and on the building. Was it a church or was it a cathedral? That's a question that I get very often from people who get to see the Rijksmuseum for the very first time. But no, this building was built in the end of the 19th century as a museum, as the Rijksmuseum. It never had a different function. But I think from this point of view, you can definitely see that Sir Kuiper was a Catholic man. When we get a little bit closer to the museum, you can see the stained glass windows, although from the inside you see them way better. And you also see all the sculptures around. Well, they aren't religious, as much as religious as you might think, but they actually tell the history of the Netherlands and the history of our famous painters. Next to the gateway from the old part of town to the new part of town, you see two entrances. This used to be the entrance to the museum, and each collection had its own part in the museum. So it was not that all the Rembrandts and all the Vermeers, they were hanging together. No, they kept in their own collections. I just walked back to the other side of the museum to show you that these sculptures aren't that religious. Because if we have a good look here on the left side, we have a sculpture of our famous painter Rembrandt, and on the right side it's Frans Hals who keeps an eye on us. But the fact that it looked quite Catholic, it was reason enough for a Protestant royal family in 1885 not to open this beautiful museum. Nowadays we love the museum though, and not only the museum itself but as well the gardens around here actually. It's a very nice spot to hang out, and if you have a good look you see the big tree up there. That tree is standing here already since the beginning of the museum, since the opening, since 1885 to be precise. It's a Caucasian winged tree. In the back of it, I will try to point it out with my finger. Where is it? Right over there. You see a little greenhouse, and in there they grow forgotten veggies. Well, normally during summertime and on warm days, we have a big fountain over there, which is from a Danish architect, and it's called Hide and Seek. Next to the fountain, where is my finger again? Right over there, there is a little garden house, and it actually comes from an old canal house from the 17th century on the Keizersgracht. And on nice warm days you can get an ice cream over there, or just a nice coffee to hang out in the gardens. And if you have a good look, I will try to zoom in a bit more. You You can see the tulips still growing there. And each year they plant around 16,000 tulips around the museum in the gardens, and they do that together with Keukenhof. And yeah, they are all historical different kind of tulips that they plant around the museum. Nice spot, isn't it? Next to the museum you'll find the former director's house, and it's called the villa. Well, I don't think it needs any explanation why it's called the villa, right? It has 30 rooms, and that was enough for the family, for the household staff and the guests who were coming over. And it was the director's house until the Second World War. Beautiful place to live in the city. The gardens of the Rijksmuseum are also known for being an outside museum. And here you see why. Because in the garden over here you see fragments of buildings that have been demolished around 1900. And the building, for example, that you see over here, the tower, that's also known as the Franeker Toren, or the winding stairs from Franeker. Over there on the left of it you see the arches, and they are coming from a church in Edam. So in this way also the gardens are an outside museum. Just right above me we find the Gallery of Honor. There where you find the most amazing famous paintings that we have here in the Netherlands, such as the Milkmaid of Johannes Vermeer, and obviously the Nightwatch of Rembrandt. And because it's such an important painting to us, it has its own emergency exit, and I will show you how you can see that. Just right up there you see the black stripe. That's the emergency exit for the Nightwatch. It has been used in the Second World War to bring the painting out, and that way it was safe. And still, in case of emergency, in case of fire or whatsoever, that's the way to bring the Nightwatch outside the museum. In the back of the museum there is actually a funny extension. You can see it here. Now we'll walk a little bit to the side so you have a better look on it. And that extension is called the Nightwatch extension, or the Nightwatch wing. When the building was finished, when the museum was open and people could get to see the Nightwatch hanging here in the Rijksmuseum, it was very funny because the light, how it was shining on it. Daylight obviously, because we didn't have electrical light back in those days. It wasn't in a good way. It was shimmery and it was very hard to see the painting in a good way. And that was the reason that they had to make this extra wing, just to make sure that the light was shining in a good way on the painting. Wasn't still the best, but yeah, good enough. And nowadays it's hanging back in the Gallery of Honor again, at the spot where it was meant to be. Yeah, electrical light helps a lot. In 2003 the museum was closing. It was closing its doors because of a big renovation. It was done by two architects from Spain, Cruz and Ortiz. And their idea was to close this all so it would be one big entrance. But as you can see, the entrance or the gateway is used by a lot of cyclists still. And yeah, we have a cyclist union who stood up and said, that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen that you close off this gateway, because we love it so much. And this is such an important gateway for the Amsterdam people to drive through and enjoy the museum this way, that they won. So forget about it, Cruz and Ortiz. It still is a cycling path underneath the museum. But what they did is that they opened up, and I cannot show you from this point of view, but underneath here they opened up the ground, and in that way you can go from one side to the other side, because that used to be very, very difficult. Also, if you have a look up there, you see the chandelier, and that's also from them. It houses lights, cameras, and it also takes care for a good acoustic. Beautiful, if you ask me. The beautiful glass roof is still original, and that is from Sir Kuiper again. It took 10 years to finish the renovation. 10 years, that's a long time. but it was worth it. The museum looks beautiful again, and it's very open again, and it's very clear. The map is very clear again. Before it was just one big mess with all little rooms where you had to slide through, and very difficult to find your way through actually. Something else that I would like to show you that Cruise and Artiest did was the Asian Pavilion. Just right here on the outside. Looks like it's floating in the water, and also looks pretty small, although when you're inside it's pretty big, and it houses the Asian collection. Well, with this vlog I hope I gave a bit of an idea what to see outside the building, and a bit of an impression about the history of the building. Can't wait to take you inside though, because obviously inside we have all the famous paintings, all the famous painters, and I would love to tell you all about it. If you want to book a tour with me, please go to the website www.lindapresents.nl. Well, I hope to see you next time in the next vlog. Bye bye.